What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GSN Sports Network podcast. I'm your host, John J. II, and thank you so much for joining us tonight, the 21st of November, 2024. We're almost into the 22nd. It's a late night. We just got finished up with the Cleveland Browns facing off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Wow, what a thriller. What a thriller. Now, that was just a hell of a snow game. And what we're going to do is we're going to give you a little bit of a weather forecast later on tonight in the show. And, just looking at that game, watching it be a snow game gives me some flashbacks, watching Calvin Johnson play for the Detroit Lions. And it was just really, a hell of a sight to see as snow really sweeps across our nation. And we're seeing snow come in, giving us the insight that fall is over, the autumn has passed, and winter is among us. Isn't it a beautiful thing? For my Michiganders especially, we're seeing snow come in. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, winter is here. And that's just the reality of the situation. So we got a good show for you guys in store tonight. But first off, let's talk about that thriller in Cleveland, the snow game. You look at Nick Chubb, you talk about a comeback story. You talk about a sign of resilience, and that is Nick Chubb. That is the Cleveland Browns. That is Jameis Winston, famous Jameis, bringing it back for the Cleveland Browns, winning a big one. And I guess, what does this mean for Mike Tomlin? What does this mean for George Pickens, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Is the party over? Is the aura gone? I don't know. I thought Pittsburgh was going to win that game. It looked like they were pulling away. It looked like they were taking that game away from Cleveland, and it looked like a curtain call. It didn't turn out to be the case, and Cleveland pulls off the dub, a big win in a rivalry game. So, listen, I'm here for it. I'm happy to see it, and listen, it's just really cool to see a great football game in a snow match. Now, we're seeing snow sweep across the nation. We've mentioned that. We're going to talk about the weather here, give you a little weather forecast. Never done that before, but we're going to do that for you guys here tonight. But first, we got some other news to attend to. Bryce Underwood, the Belleville graduate, soon-to-be graduate, has decommitted from LSU and is committed to the University of Michigan. This is breaking news. This is brand new stuff, and I got to give props. I got to tip my cap to my boy Chris Santino, a workout buddy of mine, and he gave me this insight. He came out to me. He's like, what do you guys talk about in your podcast? How do you look at recruits? How do you dive into and delve into the world of recruiting for colleges, for Power 5 schools, major schools, especially even in the Big Ten, hits close to home. Obviously Michigan being atop the highest ranking schools, the most prospective schools to go to and to attend if you're an up and comer. And it comes down to money. As we know, we've seen NIL time and time again take the bait, and we've seen players take the bait when it comes to going where the money is. We see that happen more times than not, and I see it a lot. I see it happen all the time where you got these kids, they got a lot of promise, and they could go anywhere they want, really. You could see them having a lot of promise no matter where they go. They commit to LSU, a major SEC school, and then you see this guy, Bryce Underwood, decommit from LSU because this is supposedly his dream school, is LSU. Go Tigers, right? Then he decommits and goes to, commits to Michigan. Sharon Moore is elated. He's posting on Twitter, just, off his rocker, happy about this deal. And listen, this is the first 5-star recruit that Michigan has taken since they landed Ryan Mallett in the class of 2007. Going back almost 20 years into the past, and that's kind of hard to believe, thinking about the University of Michigan. Is this their first 5-star recruit in almost 20 years? The answer is yes. So this is big for Michigan. This is big for the rebuild. If you're talking about a team that reached the highest of heights, that basically had to recalculate and figure out what are we doing here. They can't figure it out at quarterback. Alex Orji's not your guy. And bringing in a quarterback, the Belleville High School graduate, soon to be graduate, 5-star recruit. Everybody in the nation wants this guy. It's a sight to be seen. It's a sight to behold. So big props. This is big news for the University of Michigan. Dave Portnoy, I watched him with the crown on. He had the shillelagh and the whole nine, and he was just elated for this pick for the University of Michigan. So it's going to be big news for him, going to be big threats to every team that plays them in the Big Ten going into 2025. So we'll have to see how this fares going into the next season. But it's going to be a sight to be seen. It's going to be a sight to be seen. We've seen this happen before, where they bring in recruits, got a lot of promise. Maybe they don't pan out how you expect them to, but this time it could be different. This time it could be different. Staying in that same vein, talking about college football, looking at the matchups going into Week 13. The one that comes to mind, the one that I'm looking at, is Indiana, Ohio State, coming at you live at noon on Saturday on Fox. Now, this is a hell of a game. Now, you're talking about two major Big Ten powerhouse teams. Indiana kind of coming out, emerging from the shadows, and becoming a powerhouse in the Big Ten. Nobody saw this coming. And why they are ranked number 5 and Ohio State's number 2, I don't know. But looking at the record, 10-0 overall, 7-0 in the Big Ten, undefeated, unscathed thus far. They have a true test going to the shoe this weekend. And it's going to be a hell of a test for them. I don't know how they're going to fare. I don't know what to predict. I don't know what to foresee. But we're looking at a big-time Big Ten matchup this Saturday at noon on Fox. Make sure you're here for it, checking in. Another good one, Ole Miss in Florida facing off. You got SMU, Virginia, Illinois, Rutgers, another Big Ten matchup. You got Kentucky and Texas, Penn State, Minnesota, BYU, and Arizona State. Kind of a little bit off the rocker matchup that you can be looking forward to. And it's a lot of good football. It's good football. You got Alabama, Oklahoma, a night game on ABC. Is Jalen Milroe the guy for Alabama? Is he going to bring it home for Alabama? Are they going to lead the top of the SEC come the end of the year? I don't really know. There's been projections that have been made that Alabama is going to, reemerge and become this powerhouse team. And, sitting at 8-2, you're not looking too bad. But how are you going to hone in on those errors, on those missteps that have been plaguing your season? Essentially, I say plaguing your season, 8-2. You're not used to being 8-2 if you're Alabama and the Crimson Tide. So can they emerge and can they remain and retain their stature and their status in the SEC? That's yet to be seen. We'll have to see how they fare with these last few games going into the postseason, and kind of looking forward into the 12-team format. Who gets in? Who stays out? What are teams that make it in, that win the conference, and maybe they're not ranked as high as you'd expect them to be in the AP polls, but maybe they emerge, maybe they make it to the finish line, and maybe they get a bid to the 12-team format. We'll have to wait and see. Jumping gears, going to the MLB, Ohtani and Aaron Judge receive unanimous MVP awards. Ohtani receives his 3rd MVP award in 4 years. This guy's a juggernaut. Okay. We were talking with Chris on the podcast a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I asked him, who the hell is this guy? Who is Shohei Ohtani? Is he a juggernaut? Is he a guy that has long status in the MLB? Yes, he's nearing 30, but I don't think he's letting his foot off the gas. I think he's going to proceed. He's going to escalate even more. Obviously, everybody wants to see him take the hill and pitch. I think that's kind of the big anticipation going into 2025. Is this guy going to take the mound? Is he going to pitch the ball? And if he does, then this guy does it all. Then that is the signifying sign that this guy can do it all. He can reach new heights, and nobody's going to stop him. So it's a beautiful thing to watch. It's a beautiful thing to watch. I'm happy that I get to watch it, because it's something that I get to enjoy as a baseball fan, one, and just watching history take place, watching players break new thresholds and reach new heights, crush new goals. I mean, it's something that you really have to witness and you have to be here for. And we have that with Shohei Ohtani. And he's getting these accolades, getting these awards, when I don't want to say anyone was preying on his downfall or looking to take him down in any regard. But this guy really came out and he demanded everything from the league. Got a lot of it, almost all of it. They go on, they win the World Series. They basically embarrassed the New York Yankees in the World Series. If you ask me, it was a piss poor performance, I thought, from the New York Yankees did not amount to what their season had led up to. And just piss poor. But the Dodgers are victorious yet again, and they're the team. They're the team. So that's the reality of the situation. And Shohei Ohtani is continuing to break new thresholds, reach new heights, and it's a beautiful thing. Let's just take a quick moment. I gotta do this. Let's have some appreciation for the dual camera model system we have going tonight. Kind of in beta testing, but we're here for it. And I think it's working out great. Don't know how it's looking on the other end, but we'll have to see in the post-production. But we like it. We like it. We like having dual cameras. We like having options over here at GSN. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So I like it. I enjoy it. I like the production value. And we're putting in beta testing here for you tonight on the GSN. I'm just looking outside my window. We have a great moon that is rising above the horizon right now. And it's just a beautiful sight. It's a great night. Thank you so much for joining us if you're here live. Yeah. So where do we go from here? We're staying in the vein of MLB. So the Braves, Chris Sale, and the Tigers, Tariq Skubal, win Cy Young Awards. This is big for the Tigers. This is big for Tariq Skubal. And he is kind of nearing 30. He's in the same boat similarly as Shohei Ohtani, I'd say, as far as their age and their progression in the MLB. They're in similar positions. They're reaching similar positions in their careers as Major League Baseball players. And this is big for the Tigers. This is big for Detroit. I know we wanted a big run. We wanted to beat the Guardians. We wanted to make it past them and then face the Yankees. And it would have been a great thing just to see him make a run. And I wanted to see him get past the Guardians if they could. And if they could do that, then great, more power to him. I wanted him to do it. A lot of us wanted him to do it. They didn't have what it takes to do it. And it is what it is. I think you got a lot to build off of. Looking at the comeback, looking at all the odds that they defied. They defied every odd in the book. Okay. Come July, even mid-July, going into August, you wrote them off. They were done. They were done. They were toast. They were dead in the water, sitting ducks, and you really didn't have any gusto behind them, right? Got Paul Peters in the chat, says, hey, Paul Peters, thank you so much for joining us, buddy. But yeah, looking at the Tigers, I'm happy with what they were able to do in the 2024 season. I expect more. I expect better. And I think a lot of us expect better. We want to see everybody reach new heights, especially the teams in our own state. In that same vein, I'd love to see the Red Wings make a run in the NHL. Obviously, the season just started, got a long way to go. Pistons are making splashes in the NBA Cup. We want to see them do well. And listen, it's just a beautiful thing. We want to see Detroit teams do well. And I don't even have to say it, but the Detroit Lions are making a hell of a run in the NFL right now. And I've talked about it, beat the shit out of it on this podcast. And I'm going to continue to do it because, listen, they're playing well. We got to talk about them. That's just how we do things. That's how we do things out here. So let's move on. We got a lot to get through. It's late. Guys, it's late. It's 11:50 on the East Coast. It's late. Okay, we're going to talk about a little bit more sports here going forward. The UEFA Nations League. And you know how I love my Azzurri. I love international football. I love it. I love it with a passion, a burning passion. And it's something that I like to watch. I'm half Polish, half Italian. I like to see my Poles do well, but they're sitting at the bottom of League A right now. Got the shit beat out of them by Portugal. Croatia had their way with them. And they lost 4 of their 5 group matches with 1 draw. Not good enough. Not going to get it done. And obviously, you don't have much other than Robert Lewandowski on that team to really hold the rope for the rest of them. Didn't pan out that way for the Poles, and they're sitting at the bottom of League A with Portugal and Croatia qualifying in that one. France and Italy, there's my Azzurri. They got beat pretty bad the other day by France, and France had their way with them, and that's putting it lightly. Okay, did they have the foot off the gas? Italy, knowing they probably qualified regardless? Probably. Now, they won 3 of their 5, drew 1, lost 1. So you're not looking too bad. Belgium and Israel failed to qualify. Then you got Germany and the Netherlands that will qualify in Group 3, Hungary and Bosnia. And Bosnia-Herzegovina do not qualify. League A Group 4, Spain and Denmark prevail. Switzerland without a win in group play after beating my Azzurri in the Euros in knockout stage. Kind of surprising, especially that quick. You got a lot of the same guys. Everyone's basically retained if you're Switzerland, and you don't win a game in your group. You got some teams in there you should have beat. You didn't do it. So a little bit of a bad break for the Swiss. League B, Group 1, Czechia and Ukraine lead the top. Georgia, an up-and-comer in the Euros, they sit in the 3 spot, didn't make it. Maybe next time. League B, Group 2, England and Greece will lead that one. They will qualify. Norway and Austria in League B, Group 3 will qualify. League B, Group 4, Wales and Turkey will qualify. League C, Group 1, Sweden and Slovakia will qualify. League C, Group 2, Romania and Kosovo will qualify in Group 2 of League C. Northern Ireland and Bulgaria will qualify in Group 3. And North Macedonia and Armenia will qualify in Group 4. San Marino and looks like Gibraltar will qualify in Group 1 of League D. Then you got Group 2, Moldova and Malta. So you got a hell of a slate looking at a bracket, looking at anything that you're, looking at the scale of everything, the scale of this tournament, which is a major thing. It's something that is major. Okay, now we're talking about basically we're on the hump. When we're talking about the World Cup, we're talking about international football. Before the World Cup, before the qualifiers really take form, we got the Nations League, and that's what we have. And I'm glad we have the Nations League because it's right in the middle. Really, it's right in the middle of league play, of club play. So to see this happen so much earlier, it's a beautiful thing. I love the Nations League. You got the Euros. You're coming off the Euros. You got Nations League, and then you got the World Cup. Coming in a couple of years, which is it's going to be just great. It's a lot of international football. We love to see it. So where do the Azzurri sit in all of this? Obviously, I'm going to be following Italy. Have followed Italy for a long time, since 2012, I believe. Just been following Italian football. Obviously, it's my heritage, but it's a great history of international soccer, which I am just so happy to be a part of and be to be a fan of. Where do they fare? A lot of great teams have qualified. We got to wait until March when we have the knockout stages, semifinals, quarterfinals, etc. And then we got to wait till June of 2025 before we have the finals. So it's going to be a great finish for the Nations League. I'm here for it. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Cool. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. Talk about FC 25. FC 25. So this is a little bit of a gin gaming segment. And we did a preview. We talked about Dagnall. We talked about some other things, some other aspects of the game. We've been very critical of FC 24. Talking about the mechanics of the game, talking about the gameplay, talking about the online gameplay, also offline. There's a lot to look at. There's a lot to dive into and dissect. But basically, in a nutshell, it was atrocious on FC 24. It was basically unplayable. Okay, and I'm not really speaking out of turn there when I say it was unplayable online. Okay, and I'm just playing seasons. I'm not playing Ultimate Team. A lot of these guys that I know and I play with, they tell me about the game. I know Dagnall's in that boat. They play Ultimate Team. They play all those different modes where you got to get tokens, get coins, and get players, get packs, all that shit. But I'm talking about seasons, just regular gameplay. And we're talking about not even being able to compete. And I call it getting 3-bar. When you get 3-bar, that means you have 3 yellow bars at the top of your screen. That means you're lagging. That means someone is not connected to the host and your connection is not good. And in essence, it ruins the entire game. It doesn't reemerge from that situation at all throughout the entire duration of the game. And it's atrocious. It's hard to play. It really is. So my first experience with FC 25, just got the game the other day, got the Black Friday deal. I wasn't going to I wasn't going to pay full price for the game because I'm like, I got to watch some gameplay. I got to do my research on this game before I spend some money on it. First thoughts. I really like the gameplay. I think it's a lot smoother. I like the consistency. And now these things could change. These things could change at the drop of a hat. I like the consistency. I like the flow of the game. I like the responsiveness from control to action within the game. Online play is good. They got some great new modes in there. FC Clubs is one of their modes where you create your own player, you build up their stats, and you play amongst and with and against online players that have done the same with their players. And you build the stats. You kind of hone in on a position, and you build those stats. You get points, and you get XP to then get more points and add to your attributes as your player progresses. So it's really fun. I like it. I think it's a breath of fresh air, something that's new to the FC FIFA franchise. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be even better as things progress. Now, with Black Friday and everybody getting on the game, it's going to put some stress on those EA servers, which we know has been a problem in years past, especially talking about FC 24. I think as soon as they changed the name from FIFA to FC, everything went to shit. Okay, now we're expecting some changes. We're expecting some things to get polished and to get fixed going into FC 25. We expect that to happen. That should be automatic. But putting a lot of faith in EA sometimes is asking too much. It's asking too much sometimes. So I'm hoping that it's not too much to ask this time. I'm expecting a lot out of the EA community and the game construction engineers. I'm expecting a lot out of them. Maybe expecting too much. But I don't think expecting a little better than FC 24 is expecting too much. That should be, going along with the curve, and should be basic expectations. For me, I think it should be. So we'll give you a check-in probably within the next couple of weeks on how the game is playing. But for people that know me, as soon as I became a fan of soccer, was in 2012. Like I said, I watched Italy go to the final against Spain in the Euros, and I'm like, damn, this is really entertaining. Where before, maybe even months before or a year before, whatever, I'd watch soccer. I'd watch a couple minutes of it, and I have to turn it off because I was bored. But then I grew appreciation for every touch, every challenge, every shot, the buildups, the counterattacks. And really, it's an art. It's an art form to be able to have a soccer team, one, that can compete, and two, a team that can have cohesion and chemistry and have something to build upon. And then you have that victory. You have the satisfaction of getting a goal. And if you can take pride in all of that, the goals are extra, essentially. It's almost like the cherry on top in a big way, because it's just one of those things that's extra. It's extra. It's extra. Read all about it. And if you have that, you have everything come to fruition, you got a good team to watch, to stand behind and root for, then you'll fall in love with it. Okay. And I got a lot of people that I know, a lot of them in my family, that cannot watch soccer. They hate it. And I tell them, I used to be like you, but now I have pride for the sport. I have satisfaction watching the sport, even if it's a 0-0 finish. Yeah, you might think about it, goes to extra time, you go to penalties. You might think, oh, I just wasted 120 minutes of my life. But it's not like that. It's not like that. So for anybody listening, anybody hearing me right now, listen loud and clear, because if you give this sport a chance, and we used to call them foot fairies back in football season. I'm talking American football. We would see the soccer players playing on a couple fields over. I'd be like, oh, those are the foot fairies over there. You'd have coaches talking shit to you. Hey, maybe you should go join the foot fairies over there. But listen, don't prey on their downfall. Don't do it, because these guys are working hard. It is a contact sport. Yeah, you got a lot of pussies out there, but don't get too caught up in the noise. Watch it, appreciate it, and enjoy every minute of it, because it's a great pastime. It's a great sport to watch, and I enjoy it a lot. But that's why I follow FC 25 and the FIFA franchise of video games so closely, because I take pride in the sport of watching it. And you get teams, you stand behind them, and then you play the games. That's what makes it fun. That's why people like Madden. That's why people like NHL. That's why people play 2K, or PGA Tour. Uh, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So that is what it is. We'll see where the game goes. We'll give you a couple week check-in. We'll give you a month check-in. Maybe even give you a 6-month check-in. Hopefully, then by then all the bugs should be eradicated. Real quick though, what I thought was kind of crazy is FC 24. It started out as a great game. It started out as a really fun game, a really fluid game, even online seasons. That's what I play all the time. I don't play, like I said, don't play Ultimate Team. But playing seasons, it was very crisp, it was very clean, and they did something to the game. They did something to the coding of the game where it nerfed everything, and everything became slow. Everything became, it was almost robotic. It was so unnatural where it became, like I said, it became unplayable. So I don't know what they did to that game, but there was a inflection point with FC 24 where it was a good game, great game, arguably the best FIFA game ever created. And then within the blink of an eye, overnight, it became the worst soccer video game I've ever played. And it never really reemerged from that. And that was sad. So I don't want to see that happen with FC 25. I like it right now on the early stages of the game, of having the game, owning the game. I'm impressed. So let's keep it that way. And if anything else, let's make the game better going into the future. We got to talk about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is done. This guy is major ass. Okay. And it's been seen before. We've seen it happen. He's been one of those guys where it's like you want to see him play well. You want to see him do good. But at the same time, it's like nothing can be done within the New York Giants team, the offense, whatever. Something's not clicking with the offense. So Daniel Jones is done. And from what I hear, that is going to be how things are going to go from now on. He's at home. He's been told to go home. He said, hey, you can collect the checks and do whatever you got to do, but we don't want you anywhere near this training facility. And if you are, you're going to be on a scout team. And I don't think after being a starter for so long, playing in the league for 6 years, you don't like to hear that. You don't like to hear that. So it's a tough pill to swallow. But listen, Daniel, you had a run. It wasn't a good run, but you had promise. A lot of people drafted you on their fantasy teams. You did not deliver, not even in a small amount. And you're done. You have your chance, and you take a walk. You walk the boulevard once things don't work out. And that's the reality of the situation. That's the reality of playing football in the NFL. And it just didn't pan out for you. Hats off to you. Here's the weather forecast that we promised you. Okay. We got a weather forecast. As you can see from the map, we have a low pressure system moving in from the Pacific Northwest down through Washington, down through Oregon. And now what you're going to have is an El Nino pattern that is forming as we reach the early December days, rather. And what does this mean? What does this mean? So if you watched the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game, you saw a lot of snow. You saw a snow game. Maybe you thought, oh, okay, this is an early snow game. We don't really see these too often. These are kind of a dime a dozen. These are every blue moon situation. We see a snow game like this. You're going to see some heavy snow in a lot of the Midwest, in a lot of the Northeast, and you're going to see snow in a lot of areas in the United States. That's just how it's going to be. This El Nino pattern, I don't know if it was expected. I didn't look at the Farmer's Almanac, but you're going to get a lot of snow as a result. So that's kind of what's happening. That's what's going on with the map that you can see in the top of your screen and top right. And we're going to see a lot of snow. Winter is here. I have to repeat that. Winter is here. Now, it's a tough pill to swallow, even for me. But once I get accustomed to the winter weather, then I embrace it with open arms. I like to snowboard. I like to ski. I like to take pride and take part in the winter weather. And I expect to do nothing less this winter. So it's here. I guess it kind of hit us like a brick shit house, running into it 100 miles an hour. But that's usually how winter is. The big snow, and why this is a big deal, why this is notable, is because just getting the first snow is kind of a big deal, no matter where you're at. Listen, I've grew up with snow my whole life. There's people that never seen a lick of snow. But winter is here. It has to be said. It has to be said. We talk about it in the golf season where it's like winter is coming. My great buddy that I used to work with at the Chop House, Doug Swift. Doug, if you're out there watching, I hope you're doing well. He would post a picture of him golfing. Could be the middle of July. And he would always caption it saying, winter is coming, winter is coming, winter is coming. And that resonated with me. And now I know what he meant because winter is always on the horizon. If you have a nice day, if you have some nice weather, if you got some sun, then winter is only a short distance away. Doesn't matter how far away you think you are, winter is near. Winter is coming. And that may be a Game of Thrones reference. I don't know. I'm not gonna get into that. But there's a lot of truth to it. There's a lot of truth to it. So it has to be said. Just a chill guy. Just a chill guy. Now, what is this? You might be seeing this all over your feed on social media, going on Twitter, going on Facebook, going on whatever you go on social media wise. You're seeing this. Just a chill guy. Okay. Now, this coin, we used to call them shit coins, actually, back in the day. Back in the NFT craze of the CryptoPunks. Then you had, you had the apes. You had a lot of different NFTs that became a reality and became a thing. The Bored Ape Yacht Club. That's what it is. Now you have the chill guy. Just a chill guy. So if you would have bought this, I want to say November 15th when it came out at just under a penny per coin. And we're going to call it a shit coin. A lot of people call them meme coins. Listen, they're the same thing. If you would have bought that when it was less than a penny, it is now topping 39 cents a coin. And it topped out at, I believe, 50 cents, somewhere therein. So what made this coin blow up? What made this coin blow up? Why is crypto going up? Okay, you might say it's the election. You might say it's different world events, a lot of uncertainty in the Middle East, a lot of uncertainty overseas. It could be a culmination of a lot of that stuff, geopolitics. There's a lot of shit going on right now, if you haven't noticed. There's a lot of factors. But the thing is, with this craze, you can profit greatly. If you would have bought the chill guy, just a chill guy, if you would have bought him early, then you would have been panning out. What does that sound like? It also sounds like Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is in the same boat. Bitcoin is in the same boat. It nears 100K. It's likely to hit $100,000 a coin within the next couple days. Why is this a talking point? Why is this notable? Because it's a sign of the times. Okay, not even a year ago, maybe a little bit more. We're talking about Bitcoin is less than 20 grand. People are saying cryptocurrency is dead. It's going into the gutter. And now we see a resurgence. And it could be because of Trump and his endorsement of Bitcoin and crypto in the new regime. And, you got Elon Musk, you got Dogecoin, you got a lot of things. You got a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of billionaires getting behind cryptocurrency. And I think that's the biggest thing about it. But you never know with meme coins, coins that are on the Solana ecosystem. You got a lot of coins that are within the Ethereum ecosystem, some that are tied in with Bitcoin. You don't really know which ones to get, which ones are going to get the most hype behind them, because a lot of them are just not worth buying because they're not going to do anything. How do you know which ones to buy? There's gurus out there. And listen, I am a crypto guy. I am. I don't want to say I'm a self-proclaimed crypto genius, guru, etc. But I follow crypto. I look at it. My thing is, I think it's too uncertain. It's too new of a concept to really get behind and follow and look at technical analysis and say, hey, this is what we're looking at. This is how we're going to follow it. This is what we're going to build our, portfolio up with. It's too new. It's too fresh. And I'm saying that 10 plus years into the existence of Bitcoin. I actually bought Bitcoin back in 2013. I spent, I believe, $20 on some Bitcoin. I don't know how much I got. But whatever happened when it went up to, I think, a couple grand or a couple $100, I don't even know if it hit $1,000 yet. I sold that $20 investment for $200. Now, however much I had, I don't really even want to know, because now that it nears $100,000, I don't know how much it could have made. I could have had a large percentage of a coin and could have made a lot more now. Hindsight's 2020. You want to catch the new waves. How do you know which waves to catch? You got to do your research. You got to look into it. But even then, that research might not pan out. So be careful when investing in Bitcoin. What's the future look like? How is Bitcoin going to fare as far as price goes going into the new year? Too early to tell. Nevertheless, it's notable to talk about. So it's just one of those things. Last thing, I got to talk about this because this is really pissing me off when I'm doing my research. It could be on any subject, any topic. Why am I seeing news sites that are trying to charge me for a subscription service? I can read a portion of the article, and usually it's very pertinent to what I'm looking up. For whatever reason, these links are at the top as far as the priority goes. And I'm looking at a link, I'm trying to do my research on a topic. Whether I'm doing a podcast, whether I'm writing an article, whether I just want to get some knowledge. And they require me a subscription to pay for the article. Now, wouldn't you think if you're a news source, you want to have open information, you want to have open and available information with time is of the essence mentality included, everything like that. You want to have ease of access to your viewers, to your readers. No, what do these companies do? And I'm not naming names because there's too many to name. A lot of these companies are doing it. A lot of them are doing it with digital media as well. And it's really pissing me off because you're eliminating that ease of access. What are people going to do? They're not going to pay for that service unless they got money coming out of their ears, unless they bought Bitcoin when it was 25 cents. They're not going to pay for the article. Because why? It's not because of the money. It's not because I don't want to pay $1.99 to read the article. It's because it's a bitch for me to plug in my credit card just to read a damn article. Who's doing that? I want to know if you guys are paying for any, subscription fees to read articles on any website. I don't care what website it is. Okay. New York Times does it. Okay. I'll name drop the New York Times. The Wall Street Journal is another one. Another one I was looking at, and I was getting all this crypto information. It was Fortune.com. Fortune.com. We're putting them on blast right now because these companies, they think they're hot shit. And they think that they're cutting edge by charging people money to read their articles. They're just trying to get some information. They're just trying to get educated on a topic. And what do? You say, no, you cannot get educated because I want to charge you $2 to read this damn article. And I'm not going to show you the article. I'm just going to give you a little snippet. I'm going to tickle your chin a little bit. That pisses me off to no end, man. I don't know why it is, but that just really struck a chord with me. And a gasket got blown. So yeah, I just had to talk about that because I think it's bullshit. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't be done. And it shouldn't be allowed to be done. Okay, we had net neutrality. We had all these issues go on back in the late 2010s. And supposedly we got away from that. And if we don't have net neutrality, if we don't have this, it's basically pay to play for reading an article, for getting news. And what's it doing? It's really shortchanging the article writers, the authors of these companies. And yeah, it might be bringing in some money. You might get these people that are just delusional that are paying for these articles. But I don't care if I'm Jeff Bezos. I don't care if I'm Elon Musk. You think I want to pay for an article? Hell no. Of course not. Get your act together. What the hell are you thinking? Just had to get that off my chest. Had to get that off my chest because it struck a chord. And we have to talk about things. We have to be open with each other. Good deal. Well, that's 2 podcasts in 2 days, ladies and gentlemen. And I got a lot off my chest. We talked about a lot. We beta tested the 2-camera system here on the GSN podcast, and I was really happy to do it. So I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And if you watch this tomorrow, still relevant, still current information. So do that. Reach out to me any way you can. And I look forward to it. First of all, though, wait, real quick, before we finish, I have to acknowledge the elephant in the room. So a couple individuals reached out to me, and I just have to clear the air. So I made a comment, and it wound up turning into a YouTube short, an Instagram reel, etc. And it was where I said the nation's declaration was written in New England. That was false. That was not true, and I was corrected. And I called a couple people out about it. That wasn't out of rage. That was basically out of comedy. And they said it was written in Philadelphia. And I was talking about Bill Belichick possibly coming back into the coaching scene, wanting to come back and coach. Where else would he fit in other than the Dallas Cowboys? Talked about his time in New England and how Dallas Cowboys have been dubbed for the better part of the last 4 or 5 decades, maybe longer, as America's team. They have the star on their helmets, and it's very fitting to call them America's team. I compared that with New England having the red, white, and blue color scheme on their jerseys and on their helmets and on their field and on their paraphernalia. And I said, they're America's team. They've proven themselves to be America's team. And I just to make and I'm not covering it up. I was wrong about where the Declaration was written, drafted, etc. But where I wasn't wrong, and this is kind of getting way off into the weeds because everyone's missing the point of what I was trying to say. And the point still stands that New England is very much deserving of being America's team. Because why? Maybe the Declaration wasn't drafted there, but that is where the 13 colonies were back in the early 1600s when the Mayflower came over, even the late 1500s. You got Christopher Columbus finding the new world. And that's what New England is, the 13 colonies. That's the beginning of this country. If you want to go way back, and the certification of those colonies into states, that's what the Declaration did. So there's a connection there. And it has to be said, has to be cleared. And I enjoy that. I love the controversy. I love people calling me out because I think it's good to get knowledge, to get educated on any subject. It's good for everybody to learn and grow. That's the end of the podcast. Make sure to check out all of our links in the bottom of the podcast in the description. Check out our link tree. Check out our website, ginsportsnetwork.com, and be sure to reach out to us any way you can. For now, I'm John J. II here with the GSN Pod. Have a great night.